Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, pre-trial begins tomorrow at Matagorda County and accused of Amanda Johnson's murder. A routine tax filing turns into a citizenship mystery for one local veteran. And a Christian play is set to make its Victoria debut with a new date. Why the creator says the delay could make the message even stronger.
Well, the winds certainly were a problem today. They were up out of the south, but this frontal system will be coming through here probably by sunrise, and the wind's going to turn to the north, and they'll still be strong. We'll be talking about them coming up in a moment.
And tonight we had multiple baseball and softball games all across the Crossroads. I'll highlight some of tonight's action coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry is on assignment tonight. The state of Texas versus Fernando Acosta Jr. moves forward this week. A pre-trial is set for tomorrow at 9 a.m. It takes place in the 130th District Court in Matagorda County. A jury trial for Acosta is set for April 7th. He's charged in the murder of Amanda Johnson. Her remains were found almost 4 years ago in a burned-out SUV in Matagorda County. If convicted on the murder charge, Acosta faces 5 to 99 years or life in prison. Here's a closer look at the timeline of the case. Amanda Johnson's remains were found in Matagorda County 3 years, 11 months, and 1 day ago on April 18th, 2021. A grand jury indicted Fernando Acosta Jr. on June 21st, 2021. Less than a month later, on July 7th, 2021, a court approved a bond reduction and Acosta was released from jail pending trial. Here's a closer look at the 3 dates when the murder trial was reset. The trial is now set for April 7th. Acosta faces the murder charge and 2 other indictments: tampering with evidence and abuse of a corpse. The scheduled trial comes just days away from marking 4 years since Amanda Johnson's death. Johnson was 38 when she was found dead. She was a single mother of 2. Johnson also worked as an elementary school teacher in the Victoria ISD from 2008 to 2014. This brings us to our viewer poll tonight. The question is, do you think the justice system moves too slowly in cases like this? The choices: yes, justice is taking too long; no, the process takes time for a reason; or it depends on the case. Overwhelmingly, as it has been all day long, in fact, the numbers are even bigger now. 92% of our voters saying, yes, justice is taking too long. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. We thank you for voting. The city of Bloomington held an incorporation meeting earlier today. The meeting was an informational one, speaking on topics like not having city property taxes, HOA, or a city inspector. Also, one of the items mentioned sales tax and how it could increase based on the proposed city limits.
So that they're more informed, so that they understand what will be going on in the town and how we're going to, help them.
Election day in Bloomington is on May 3rd. It's tax season, and as residents in the Crossroads scramble to file theirs, one Palacios resident is running into a big delay. 25 News Now reporter Trent Whiting joins us now with more details. Trenton?
Don, thank you. James Oaxaca has been doing his taxes all his life. He and his wife even got online when tax services moved to the web. Now he's in a situation that has him questioning some federal departments. Tax deadline is approaching. There's less than a month until tax day on April 15th. Palacios resident James Oaxaca usually has his done early, but a surprise problem has him reeling, and it's something he says he never could have expected.
One thing that really impacted me is finding out after 78 years that I'm not a citizen. That really hurt.
This situation shocked Oaxaca for good reason. He was born in California and still has his original Social Security card, as well as the updated California birth certificate. He even volunteered for the armed forces during the Vietnam War and remembers receiving a draft notice when he was already in boot camp.
I don't understand why this whole thing started.
He and his wife first noticed the issue when filing their taxes online. After submitting, they received a notice saying it had been rejected due to an error, claiming one of the jointly filed parties was not a citizen. Oaxaca has spent days trying to figure out his tax troubles, reaching out to several federal and local departments. He went from believing his citizenship was gone to those departments telling him his status is unclear and his address isn't valid. As a Palacios resident since 2003, Oaxaca was stunned to hear each new development, and he still hasn't been able to file his taxes.
Well, it's worrisome. You're trying to figure out, are we going to get it done in time?
The whole situation has Oaxaca questioning whether recent changes in federal departments is causing the problem, and he worries others might be affected as well.
I'm just worried about other people. Other people may have the same problem.
Oaxaca says he'll try mailing in his taxes instead, an attempt that could bring penalties, but the problem is still there. Trenton Whiting, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
The Christian-based play Toxic is granted a new life in Victoria. Toxic was written, directed, and produced by Corpus Christi native Lorraine Duhart. She says Toxic was originally scheduled to debut earlier this month, but was rescheduled for April 19th in order to better promote the play. It's a play about a pastor's descent into sin and the toxic results that the pastor must face.
It's a pastor who kind of get caught up in the financial part, and it gets a little bit too deep into it, and he tries to replace, but he can't replace, and it's just a lot of different secrets that are going on that he has not revealed.
Toxic the play will make its Victoria debut on Saturday, April 19th at 7 p.m. inside the Victoria Fine Arts Center. For tickets, visit starentertainmentlive.com. Lavaca County Commissioners Court declared a burn ban. It started today and will run for 90 days. All open and recreational fires are banned in that county. Anyone who violates the ban can be fined up to $500. Due to red flag conditions, a burn ban will be in effect for DeWitt County Wednesday. This is a one-day ban. High winds and low humidity create extreme fire danger. No outdoor burning is allowed. Time to check on our weather. Let's go to Mac Pettis with a first look at the forecast. And you're looking at another hot, I don't know about hot, but dry and windy, and that's fire weather.
Absolutely, Don. We're looking at a frontal system right here out in West Texas. It is coming towards us, and it's going to be shifting our winds from the south east to the northwest. Just within the hour at Midland, as a storm passed by, Midland Airport clocked a 64-mile-an-hour wind gust as it's blowing through there. Now that is moving down here. It's going to be very dry air for tomorrow. We'll talk more about it and the fire danger coming up in a moment. Back to you, Don.
Mac, thank you. The number of measles cases in Texas rise to 279. The West Texas measles outbreak is still limited to 11 counties as of Tuesday. All but 2 of the infected patients were unvaccinated. State officials say 2 new counties report infections. 36 patients are hospitalized. Another 2 patients were vaccinated with 2 doses. The West Texas measles outbreak, the largest in the state in 30 years, spread from 2 cases in late January. Most of the cases are in the rural South Plains region. Cutting back on alcohol use could be an unexpected benefit of taking weight loss drugs.
A new study from Henry Ford Health found that 1 in 4 people using anti-obesity medications drank less alcohol. All of the people in the study were considered overweight or obese. Those who had the highest BMIs were the heaviest drinkers, saw the biggest benefits from taking the drugs. Some of the medications were particularly effective, possibly because they helped curb cravings or diminish the effects of alcohol. The behavioral changes taught by the weight loss programs may also have helped on their own. While this is a preliminary study, there are other methods that can help you manage your drinking right now. If you have concerns, talk to your doctor about your options. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
A Texas bill would ban K through 12 students from using cell phones during school hours. If the proposal becomes law, Texas would follow in the footsteps of several states that have passed similar laws. The House of Representatives Public Education Committee heard public testimony Tuesday on the bill. Lawmakers are answering calls from educators who say the state needs to remove distractions from the classroom. The bill is co-sponsored by a majority of the Texas House, including both Democrats and Republicans. Texas school districts are hopeful lawmakers will help to plug a $1.7 billion gap in special education funding. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. An unexpectedly long journey finally coming to a close. NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore safely splashed down to Earth aboard a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule Tuesday. The Crew 9 astronauts landed off the coast of Florida near Tallahassee. The two finally back to Earth after an unexpected 9-month stay in space. Lee Waldman has the latest from Johnson Space Center in Houston on the journey back to planet Earth.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
A harrowing finish to the end of a long journey. Parachutes deployed, slowing the capsule barreling towards Earth. The Crew 9 astronauts landed off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
And SpaceX Freedom splashdown.
NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov rode alongside Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, finally back to Earth, splashing down Tuesday evening after Butch and Suni spent more than 285 days aboard the International Space Station. The Boeing Starliner they rode up to space in was deemed unfit for them to return on due to helium leaks and propulsion issues. The pair was able to hitch a ride back home aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule.
We see main chutes cut. Nick, Alex, Butch, Suni, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
After their splashdown, recovery vessels zoomed up to the Crew Dragon, standing at the ready after the capsule plunged back into the atmosphere. SpaceX recovery ship named Megan used a large rig to haul the capsule, carrying the astronauts out of the water. Afterwards, the crew was slated to be flown to Ellington Field and finally taken here to nearby Johnson Space Center to eventually be reunited with their families.
The big issue is these two astronauts missed their families.
The astronauts were originally slated to be away from home for an 8-day mission, but had their timeline extended to 9 months. Back here on Earth, their capsule was greeted by dolphins. At the Johnson Space Center, I'm Lee Waldman.
NASA says the astronauts will undergo an immediate medical screening by a flight surgeon. That's a standard step for astronauts finishing long-duration missions. Williams and Wilmore spent 286 days in space. There's another chance to catch the latest episode of Let's Grow Texas Ag. It will air tomorrow at 6:30 on KMOL. We are also streaming on Zeem, that's Z-E-A-M. So don't forget to tune in to Let's Grow Texas Ag. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. Social Security offices could get slower as new anti-fraud rules kick in. Also ahead, the FBI warns of rising ransomware threats. How to protect your email. Security office could get longer due to efforts to fight fraud. The Social Security Administration announced new anti-fraud measures requiring people who cannot verify their identities online to file benefit claims in person. Another rule bans changing bank account information over the phone, which could send even more people to field offices. This comes as the agency faces staff cuts and office closures. The new rules take effect later this month. Members of the Trump administration continue declining to predict if the U.S. will go into a recession. They forecast a transitional period with potential economic pain. President Trump says his new tariffs will be worth it in the end, creating a better future for Americans.
They're sort of making excuses and stories about a bad economy when we don't yet have a bad economy.
Experts say it's not too late to avoid inflation and a potential economic slowdown. That's despite a grim new forecast and warnings like these from the Trump administration.
There are no guarantees.
Between now and April 2nd, there'll be some uncertainty.
April 2nd is when President Donald Trump says he'll unveil sweeping new tariffs. He says they'll offer negotiating leverage, protection for some domestic industries, and a response to trade deficits.
It's a liberation day for our country, because we're going to be getting back a lot of the wealth that we so foolishly gave up to other countries.
A new report from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development paints a grimmer outlook. It predicts if U.S. businesses end up paying more tariffs, that would lead to price hikes for American consumers and a slower U.S. economy. But note that word if.
A lot of the fundamentals are still in pretty good shape.
It's almost as if the Trump economic team has accepted that bad things are going to happen.
The president says he won't back down on tariffs. Other countries say they're working on retaliatory measures and trade deals that don't involve the U.S. But economists point out it's not April 2nd yet.
That's kind of a self-created crisis. I feel like that could be pretty easily reversed if needed.
I'm Mimi Kiley reporting.
President Trump signed an executive order today empowering, quote, states, localities, and citizens, unquote, to respond to disasters like cyber attacks and weather events. The move comes as Trump has discussed dismantling FEMA, the federal agency that responds to natural disasters. During a January visit to North Carolina to survey damage from Hurricane Helene, Trump said he'd like to see FEMA, quote, go away, unquote, and instead have states handle disaster relief efforts. A group of Teslas was set on fire at a Las Vegas Tesla dealership. It's being investigated as terrorism.
Here's the moment flames emerge from a Tesla. A person in dark clothing appears next to the car around 2:45 this morning, seeming to reach in a bag and walk by the car before this sound. A loud bang Metro Police suspect is a gunshot. One of at least 3 rounds fired at different cars during the attack at Tesla collision Tuesday.
We do believe that it is isolated at this time. We do not believe that there's any further threat to the general public.
Metro Police working with the FBI on this investigation. New evidence shows the word resist spray painted on the building. Detectives also suspect the attacker used Molotov cocktails.
We have recovered at least one unignited Molotov cocktail located in one of the Tesla vehicles. And we're working collectively with our partners to test that material and process that as evidence.
Drone video showing the aftermath in the parking lot. The flames engulfing 2 cars, damaging a total of 5 due to exposure from the fire, according to the Clark County Fire Department, who responded.
We were able to extinguish both of these fires before it got to the battery compartment, which is critical in extinguishing any vehicle fires.
The FBI not calling it an act of terrorism, but the Joint Terrorism Task Force is investigating this situation.
It certainly has some of the hallmarks that we might think, the writing on the wall, the potential, political agenda, there's an act of violence. So none of those factors are lost on us.
The FBI is urging people and companies to beef up security on email accounts like Outlook and Gmail. A ransomware group called Medusa targeted critical industries, compromising data from hundreds of victims. To protect yourself, Enable two-factor authentication. Keep software updated and watch for misspelled URLs, fake email addresses, and suspicious links, especially in social media, marketing emails, and file sharing tools. Avoid untrusted file downloads and back up important data to ensure access if hackers strike.
Well, good evening, everyone. We're at 69 degrees right now. The winds have slowed down to 15 miles an hour after being at 40 miles an hour this afternoon. We managed to get up to 81 as a high temperature. 55 was our low. Tonight we won't be as cool. We'll be in the mid-60s. And tomorrow will be a little bit warmer, even though the winds are going to be coming out of the northwest. All that coming up in just a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. What you are seeing here in the green is where the humid air is located, okay? That's where, it feels normal around here. But just to the west of us, I'm talking from San Antonio west to Del Rio, the humidity drops like a rock. In fact, they're down into the 20% humidity. It's very desert-like out there. Now, tomorrow morning, we're going to see the winds shift around to the northwest. And you'd think it'd be a cool front, but it's not really going to cool us because we're going to have abundant sunshine behind it in the very dry air. There is a bit of a dip in the temperature there midweek, but we quickly get back up into the upper 80s. Here is the fire danger problem. All of these counties, in fact, include the Panhandle, all the way down to the valley, we're under a red flag warning. High fire danger, low humidities, and of course, a lot of vegetation. As I mentioned a moment ago, out here in Midland, as the frontal system passed, they had a 64-mile-an-hour wind gust. So all of this area right now is covered in dirt and dust. What happens next? Well, it's going to be swifting down here, and it'll be in our area tomorrow, so we'll be dealing with that dust as well. These counties out toward Houston are a high wind warning, while the fire danger mostly is over here where it's not as moist. So the winds are southerly right now. Around midnight, there's going to be a little bit of a shift or a decrease in intensity. And then by sunrise, boy, the winds are going to be howling coming out of the north, probably in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range, similar to today. So you've done a great job of making sure no fires get started. So let's keep it going that way. But, as I showed you, the red flag warnings like coming down here. Look at this. There's 3 fires still going on, about 3 days now. In the hill country, 2 west of Corpus Christi and 3 down in the valley. So, anything that takes off on us is going to be a problem to put it out. So let's all be very cautious. Here's the reason for the strong wind. Everything is flowing into this deep area of low pressure. This is a monster low. It's pulling down cold air, so it's got snow behind it. But as it rolls into the plains, it's going to be a huge problem, developing severe thunderstorms and probable tornadoes in the next day or so. We're getting down to 62 tonight, and tomorrow we'll get up to 84. Brilliant sunshine, dry air, and that's kind of the problem. Here's the storm coming out of the Rockies. You see it right here? Snow in the plains. And then in front of it will be the violent thunderstorms that'll move very rapidly across the Midwest. So they're going to have to watch out for that because it's the same pattern that happened this past weekend. So for tomorrow in Port Lavaca, beautiful day, lots of sun, and lots of wind, so hold on to your hats. We're looking at northwesterly winds at 15 miles an hour, getting up into the mid-80s. In Cuero, you're getting up into the mid-80s as well. Northwest winds will be blowing and blowing strong, so there could be a little dust. I know there'll be a little dust in the air, not only from coming from Lubbock, but also coming from our area as well. So there's our front early in the morning. It gets a little cooler, but it's very dry these 2 days. That's why the red flag warning is up. And middle of next week, well, the weekend, Monday, 20%, a whopping 20% chance of a shower or two. Let's hope for something. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And let's talk about powerlifting with Maxwell.
That's right, Mac. After the break, we're going to sit down with a couple of top placers from Victoria East girls powerlifting from this past weekend here in Edinburgh. So stay right there. Good evening, here, crowd. So earlier today, we heard from Victoria West girls powerlifting, who finished third place in the 5A Division II state championship. Well, now we turn our attention to Victoria East, who became state champions this past weekend in the 5A Division I state championship held there in Edinburgh. Here's 25 News Now sports reporter Ray Robinson with more.
That's right, Max. We're continuing your girls' state powerlift coverage with Victoria East High Schools, and a few of the top performers here are some reigning state champions.
It makes me feel accomplished, honestly. It makes me feel like my practice and all my hard work, sweat, blood, and tears most literally was paid off.
It made me proud, like be able to represent the city of Victoria, to like show them how strong can we be, and like everything is possible. So
I mean, it's a very big achievement for me. I worked hard the past 2 years to come back from an injury and to just come back and show them like who I am and what I represent as an East Titan powerlifter and the lifter I am.
I was really shocked, and before the season started, I was just asking God if this is really what He wants me to do. Goal is to be to break their deadlift record of in the 165 weight class.
I was proud of myself. I was really proud of myself because I didn't get the chance to do it last year, and just being able to have the chance this year, it really made me very happy that I was able to get up there.
Big congratulations to the Victoria East girls, but make sure you go onto our YouTube page, Crossroads Today, to see the previous interviews that I had with Victoria West. Max, back to you.
All right, thanks, Ray. Congrats again to Victoria East girls powerlifting, winning state champs, and again, for all of them placed there in state. Now over to UHB baseball, where they face non-conference opponent tonight in St. Thomas. This game went down to the wire again. Terry Burrell and Jax Purcell. Again, for Terry Burrell, he was 3 for 5 in the game. For Jax Purcell, he was 2 for 4 in the game. Last I checked, this game was tied at 8-8 apiece. They're going into extra. So again, we'll see if I'll have to let you know later on again if UHB got the win, because right now they're really good right now. Mentioned before, coming in 25-3 and then 14-1. They're in conference. Over there to some high school baseball, where Industrial Cobras had a huge home game there versus the Yoakum Bulldogs. Industrial heading in was 11-2 overall, 2-0 in district, and Yoakum opposite there, 0-2 in district in this game before heading in. But this game was a pitching battle. Both teams had great pitchers on the mound, but Yoakum would break the ice, winning 1-0 there on the road. And for Yoakum, that's their first win in district. And again, these two teams are going to play back against each other there at Yoakum Thursday at 1:30 p.m. And then finally tonight, Victoria West softball faced the Terry Rangers at the U Sports Complex in district play. This game was a high-scoring game. This game ended up being 16-15. Yes, not talking football, everybody. We're talking softball score here. 16-15 there over Terry's a walk-off RBI there for Victoria West, and they would get this win. That's their first win in district now. And again, they're going to be back in action there on Friday versus Fort Bend Marshall. That game will be at 3 p.m. That's going to do it here in sports. Don, back to you.
Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a legendary metal band is turning a piece of their touring history into a pocket-sized keepsake. Find out how you can get one.
Watch tonight or I wax my body for nothing.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing
kids
like better than an empty cardboard box.
If you're listening to this next story, you may want to turn your volume up to 11. A legendary British metal band is selling a different kind of metal. The Boeing plane used by Iron Maiden on its 2016 world tour is being dismantled by Aviation Tag. The German company specializes in recycling retired planes and will create unique tags from the fuselage. The keychain size tags will cost about $70 each. No word on how many tags will be made, but the plane is big enough to make about 100,000. More information is available on Aviation Tag's website. A group called the Northern Maine Ice Busters made history Saturday with the world's first international ice carousel. The group describes ice carousels as massive rotating discs of ice cut from a frozen body of water. Okay. This is the first ice carousel to spin through two countries at the same time, the U.S. and Canada. It happened on the St. John River. The carousel did 6 full revolutions Only one revolution was required to set a record, and no tariffs were broken. I'm not sure about that.
Well, I'm glad they're on friendly terms, you know.
Well, I hope so, you know. Those ice carousels bring together people. You know, that's what
I guess they cut a big hole and it sort of floats and goes around.
Well, they bring together people, that way they can stay warmer.
You need to.
That's true.
You need to. Anyway, folks, for us, the warm weather continues, but the winds are still the problem. And tomorrow morning, they're going to turn around. They're going to become westerly winds, so you'll notice the difference. It's also going to bring in much drier air. Even you're thinking, well, it wasn't very humid today, but that's what we're looking at. Therefore, the red flag warnings are still in existence, and we've got 2 alert days for both days being high fire danger. Let's all be very careful.
Very careful indeed. All right, thank you, Mac. And finally tonight, workers in Japan are expected to take just 6 hours to assemble the world's first 3D printed train station this month. The station structure measures roughly 108 feet. West Japan Railway says it will be located about 60 miles south of Osaka. It will replace a weathered wooden complex at Hatsushima Station. Structural components will be prefabricated with 3D printing technology before they are ferried to the site where they will be assembled. Work will begin after the last train runs on March 25th. They say there could have just one problem if they run short on toner.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
Well, it happens, you know. It happens to the best of us.
That's right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join 25 News Now Sunrise, 5 a.m. Jim and Kimmel Live starts now.